Hi, everybody. I'm live. This is Patricia Shanks at youtube.com/Patricia Shanks Voice. And this is live at 5 and on Sundays live at 5. And who knows what might happen today because I'm sort of on location, sort of. I'm in a claim jumper restaurant in Buena Park, right across from Knott's Berry Farm, and just not too far around the corner from the La Mirada Performing Arts Theater, where I just saw the Young Americans and many of my students in the wonderful Showstoppers performance. So I'm kind of coming off of that, and it was their final and someone's with me who needs to turn his sound off. Hopefully now, turn your sound off. Okay, that was helpful. So, okay. Okay, anyway, anything could happen here because we're live. So anyway, yeah, many of my students were in this performance, and it was lovely and wonderful, and they were all kind of sad and teary-eyed because the final performance is like that, but on to the next thing. There's always another performance around the corner. So anyway, my plan for today was to talk about what is a studio? What is a voice studio? Okay, because I'm getting lots of phone calls from, thank you, my lighting person just shined a flashlight on me to help. I think a little lower, like this. There, I don't know if this is helping or not, but but thank you. So anyway, what is a voice studio? I advertise my business name is Patricia Shanks Voice Studio, and in the I've been teaching for a long time, and we used to call a studio a place where students came to study and to learn the art. We still have art studios where people go in and paint, and there's a master painter, and you very often have groups of people who are learning brush strokes and learning how to use color and all of these things. And with singing, it can be very much the same thing, but studio for singing has sort of taken on new connotations. And one of the things that I get lots of phone calls from people asking if I have a recording studio, because that's what they're thinking of Patricia Shanks Voice Studio, that the word studio means that I have recording equipment. Well, I have a few portable types of things, microphones and recording equipment that I carry with me, but I am not a recording studio. To me, a studio is a place where people come to learn the art and to perfect it, and to preferably work with one another and listen to one another and learn from listening to others. So it's a working environment. You might think in the old days, in the 1600s, we had artists like Rubens, Peter Paul Rubens, who had a studio full of painting students who, what I believe I learned in art history way back when was that some of his students may actually be responsible for some of the paintings that were attributed to him, but that could be hearsay, I don't know. But I do recall something like that, and it makes perfect sense because they were learning the master's style and learning all of his skills, and so that they could go on and carry those on and teach others and create beautiful art as well. So anyway, yeah, getting back to, I get these calls from people who expect me to have a recording studio. And a couple of cute things. One that I'm thinking of right off the top of my head is a woman said, well, do you have microphones? Well, not always, not really. Do you have, do you have a booth? Do you have a board? Do you have all these things? And I would say, well, no. And she kind of thought there was a hesitation. She said, well, what, do you just sing dry? And yeah. We learn to sing, we learn to use our voice dry or without all of the amplification and doodads and things, so that when we are in a live performance that maybe doesn't have those things, we can be assured that the voice is going to be good. So you may have been to concerts with to see your favorite artists and have found, gosh, that they just don't sound as good as they did on that last recording of theirs. And sometimes that's because the mastering and all the editing and things that go on in the recording studio make them sound much more glamorous and glorious than they sometimes are. I won't say always, because they are good bona fide artists, but so that kind of thing can be going on. And I'm trying to think of some of the other cute things that have happened with, and my light person is fiddling around with a light, and it's very distracting. So some of the other things that go on with the word studio. But ideally, as I said, it's a working environment, and people can listen to and watch other people. I remember in the right around the year 2000, I was working with a theater company in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, and it was really a magical time, because these group of 10 to 12 people would show up on a Sunday afternoon for a few hours to work on work on their songs and their performance. Excuse me, in front of others, and I remember many instances where the singers would benefit from watching the other singers and listening to the other singers, and it would, excuse me, talk about voice, it would help their performance, and it would help their confidence and everything that they were working on, to see what was going on with these other performers. One particular one comes to mind where this was a lovely, lovely lady who had a beautiful voice, but it was a little trapped inside. And I couldn't quite figure out what to do to help her just to release that voice and let the beautiful voice ring out and be all that it could be. And as I watched her, I looked and I saw that she had a habit of standing with one ankle turned outward. That was sort of her crutch. She stood there with that one ankle turned outward, and that's how she was holding. She was holding onto her voice and holding onto her performance. So I just suggested, I said, see that ankle? Just turn that foot back, upright that foot. She sang her song, and it was glorious. And everybody was just in awe of this beautiful sound that came out of her. And that's because she didn't have that little crutch to hold on to. And what was nice is that it, again, enhanced other people's experience there and their performance. So that's what a studio is. I had another thought in mind, another cute thing that came along. At one point in time, some years back, I had a young lady who I was working with who was doing very well, and I wanted to to tweak a few things and help her, help her improve her voice and her performance. And after a time, she left me and moved on. And I heard a recording that she did with a teacher where it was in a recording studio. And there was so much voice correction, pitch correction on it, that it sounded kind of like, I don't know the song, something about magic, I think something that Cher recorded that had the pitch correction. There are all those songs where they have on purpose serious pitch correction, but it was so pitch corrected it sounded jaggedy, and people were raving about this wonderful performance of hers. And I really have a tough time with that, because I feel that people should be able to operate their natural voice, find their own voice, not have it be some cosmetically created production, just because I'm concerned about the art of singing. And so anyway, that's my little saga for today, and it might be a brief one. I'm not sure what time it is. This might be a brief Live at 5, and maybe that's a blessing, right? So because with everything that's been going on, I haven't had a lot of time to consider any other topic for today. But keep in mind that a studio, the word studio, think of the word study. Okay, it comes from, in the Italian, the studio was the workshop, the place where you studied. And then there's also the Latin form. And I remember looking up the word the other night, and just to see, and the word was mentioned, zeal. And that's what students have to have, a zeal for the work, okay? A zeal for the work. also an itch to perform and an urge to perform and that drive to perform. But I think the greatest artists have that zeal for the work. And I know, again, I bring up my acting classes and my painting classes and things that I've done, that I've participated in. And the people who did the best, who had the most to offer, were the people who had that passion, that zeal for doing the grunt work, the basic work, and the satisfaction that you get from getting better and better and better and going from one level to the next. That's what life is all about. It's about the growth, it's about the doing, it's about the learning. Learning is good. We so often skirt, just handle the surface. We just do the surface work. But getting into the nitty gritty, getting to the depths, and getting to the heart of and the detail work and some of the fine work of singing or acting or writing or painting or any of those creative arts is where real life is. So anyway, I think that's the extent. It's a short one today, forgive me, but thank you very much for listening, for either tuning in live or listening later on, and please tell other people. Let me do my little commercial before I forget. So I'm youtube.com/Patricia Shanks Voice, and there are videos there and the live. On Facebook, my page, the main page is Patricia Shanks Music, and there are actually others there too. Somehow I've gotten all Facebook paged up. I don't know how these things happen. And on Instagram, I'm Patricia_Shanks. And on Twitter, which I rarely visit because there are only so many hours in the day, and I'm trying to sing and teach and make art, on Twitter, I'm Studio Shanks. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you did, and for listening to my little story of what a studio is. Take care. See you.